Hello, and welcome to the Borealis Experience. I'm so excited to be spending some time with Troy Vincent today. It is an incredible story that he will share with us. And we just had a chat the other day, and I felt the need to interview Troy because I know his story will bring a lot of hope and light and courage to people. And we just can't have enough of this right now, especially before Christmas. Troy, thank you so much for making the time to be here with us today. Um, yeah. Do you want to dive in and share with us what your last 10 days looked like a little bit to invite people into your life?
Well, thanks for having me, Aurora. As you gave me the introduction there, I'm like, who's she going to talk to? This guy sounds interesting. That's not me. I guess the last few days, or the last week and a half was kind of a lot of things brewing up towards it, of course, that's what happens with change. A journey that began about 3 years ago and really ramped up into this year with just, a lot of self-development and self-care focus, really studying the psychology of happiness and I'm drawing a blank now. Mindset and meditation, positive psychology, just a whole array of stuff that I dove into just for my own self purposes. Yeah. And then as my journey went along, I discovered something called life coaching, which I'd never heard of, and it's been around for forever. But I met up with a life coach who introduced me to neuro-linguistic programming, which is NLP, and some people might be very familiar with that. Tony Robbins is one of the big names behind NLP. He utilizes it. And so I actually went to Arizona a week and a half ago to do some training for 4 days, extensive, intensive training, like 10 hours a day. And just learned a lot of different things about, the brain and our language that we use and how powerful it is. And and within one of the techniques that I was learning, I've been feeling a calling of becoming a life coach and helping connect with people in such a deeper way than I have via my soon-to-be old job, which is radio. And the aspect of radio that I do love is a way to connect with people, but this is far deeper. And so one of the techniques allowed me to kind of ask the question, is it time to let go of radio and move on to something else like life coaching? And it just really, really resonated and spoke to me kind of midway through the technique. It's like I didn't have to finish it, Aurora. It's just like, this is it. It's time. Yeah. I gotta go dive into this. So, I don't have anything in front of me planned whatsoever. Great.
Yeah.
But my salary, start from zero and dive in. And so I came back from that conference and I handed in my resignation to my boss. Yeah.
Wow. That is so, there's lots of people who have done that during the last 2 years here. But you've been in your job for so many years, and I don't know, a voice carries so far. Like, you've been in people's hearts, in people's souls, in people's minds, like through the radio station. And it must have been hard at the same time to resign and to say, okay, like, this is it now. But as you are very excited for this next journey, it's not that painful, but it's still, it's a chapter that needs closure. And how do you say that in English? The time that you spent on the radio really, formed your character and helped you grow as well, I'm sure, no?
Absolutely. I was was always a shy kid growing up, and a really great listener. If you were to ask my friends from school, if you were to tell them I got into radio, they'd be like, "What? No, he doesn't talk he wouldn't talk for a living. He would listen for a living." So yeah, it gave me a chance to find my voice
Oh,
and really craft that. And so I'm very grateful for radio for that, because I was kind of born with the listening skills. It was just a matter of finding my voice. And now I'm able to combine both into the next path that I want to take. And so that's really, really great. And, 23 years later, I actually started off in radio by accident. I didn't go to school for it. I didn't even grow up listening to radio. I did it for the most noble of reasons, Aurora. In university here in Lethbridge, there was a very pretty girl named Dana who asked me and my buddy if we wanted to do a radio show, and we said yes. And then we started making a pact with each other because we decided she's gonna fall in love with one of us, clearly. And so we made a pact that we wouldn't get mad if she chose the other person. And then we showed up the very next day to a meeting at the radio station, and she introduced us to her very cool, very tall, very tough boyfriend. And we were stuck with a radio show. But it was great. I dove into that, and yeah, it kind of just accidentally blossomed into a career that I didn't even want to jump into right away. I just thought, I'll try this until it stops being fun. And now 23 years have gone by. And I think it's finally time. It's finally time. So yeah, caught me off guard, caught me by surprise. And it's been quite an interesting journey there, starting off with someone who really wasn't that good at talking at all.
yeah. Oh man. So that means your personality, your soul loves challenges. And now
Yeah.
you're bestest equipped for your new job that you're gonna tackle here soon. Now, let me ask you, when it comes to coaching, especially life coaching, I feel we all have a story to share there. We all have a story of pain, sometimes even drama to share. We went through some stuff and learned how to help ourselves. My listeners know my story a little bit and how I became a podcaster and a life coach. But how is it for you? Like, was it always, did self-awareness and understanding relationship dynamics come easy to you, or did you have to learn it the hard way? What was your journey that led to wanting to become a life coach? Yeah, you said you're passionate about what you're learning right now, but on a soul level, on an emotional level, what went on there?
Yeah. I remember from all the stuff that I've been kind of studying over the last year, especially, but the last 2 years, friends started telling me, "Hey, you should become a therapist." And I was like, "No, I don't want to go back to school that long." But cool idea. Because I like helping people. I've been in pain, and you want to help others feel alleviated of it and help elevate others. And then I discovered life coaching, and I discovered it through a friend who actually experienced something called MER, and that's mental and emotional release. And it's a technique that's kind of tethered into NLP. And I saw such a huge change from someone who is battling so much depression. And I said, I got to find out what this is. Because even though all the work I was doing to, deal with my baggage and try to rediscover myself after being in a relationship where I became too codependent, like we just by accident, because we got along so well that we've just, lost ourselves. And so it was time for self-discovery. And so I went and I visited this life coach, and I learned about MER, and I said, yes, I want to do this. And it's an intensive kind of 2-day process. Nothing too invasive or anything like that. It's not like you got to go to a therapist and, spill out your heart or anything like that. It's just a lot of language and visual techniques and connecting with your unconscious mind. And it seems so simple and that it shouldn't work, but it totally works. And when it did, from that moment on, I'm like, this is a miracle. And this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do right here. I want to help people overcome all of their baggage, stuff that they might not even know about, that's just kind of sitting in your unconscious mind and really kind of holding us back in a lot of ways, creating limiting beliefs, creating a lot of fear and doubt. And when I experienced that, I guess the way to liken it to one thing is like, we all can overreact at something. And when we do, it's because it's attached to baggage. So if you get angry at something and you should be reacting like a 3 out of a 10 on a scale, but you react like 6, you're people will be like, whoa, geez, you're really ticked off about this, but it's not. You're actually bringing in old baggage into that situation. But once you do this process, it's done, it's gone. And so from that moment on, like, when you get mad at something, you're like, this is authentic. Like, this is authentic frustration in this very moment. You feel so present. And when we're present, we're elevated and we have a chance to, be more happier and be more engaged in our world. And so it's just a miracle thing. And so as soon as I did that, I said, I got to learn this. And so going to that NLP conference where I did it in Arizona, that was step 1. And now step 2 will be for me to go to one in the new year. And I want to be able to kind of help alleviate this for other people. And the things that I've seen people overcome with it are just really great. They did an experiment, I guess, if that would be a test. They had like a depression clinic, right? And I believe this was down in the States, and they had X amount of people who were battling depression, and they had a certain sort of treatment that they had. And it was really good. They had like 70% effective rate where they would help people get over their depression. And I think it was only like 10, maybe 15% relapse would occur. So there's pretty good numbers there. Like, they're helping people. Well, then they brought in MER, and they had 100% effective rate, 0% relapse.
Wow.
And it's just like, that's so powerful in a world where we are getting more and more in touch with mental health, and the fact that so many of us battle it. We all battle it in some sort of way, whether it's small increments, a low scale, right up to a high scale. And so just to have that and be able to free people from that baggage and what holds them back, and just elevate them and send them on their way, like, it's going to be so amazing. It's my passion and it's my purpose. And so I couldn't resist, following that dharma. I just had to sit there and go, yeah, it's time to move on from radio, even though it's been really good for me and it's a great creative outlet. People think I'm silly to give up a radio job, but this is it. When you find your next level passion, you gotta go for it.
Yeah. Oh, this is so incredibly beautiful. And I'm sure the pharmaceutical companies will not like to hear this. Oh, no.
You're right. Like, how is this not? This should be a thing where this should spread like a virus, right? Like, it should just totally cover the world.
Yeah, no. We have to be on a quest. I want to put it in fairy tale language. It's not about the bad pharma. It's about the universe wanting us to want to heal. And we have to be on a quest. We have to find those tools that can heal us. And when we are in alignment with that, we're going to attract people like you into our lives, and then we're going to heal. It's not going to be in the news. It's not going to be over social media. And we have to make peace with that, because it's too magical, just like you say, right? There's no big trick. There's no magic potion that you have to swallow down. It's just, correct me if I'm wrong, it is learning about yourself, making sense of it, and then not being a victim of your past, and your little monkey mind that sometimes decide to run through with stuff.
Yeah. And what's incredible is you don't have to like really struggle to overcome anything. You don't have to be mindful to, like, you're tapping into your unconscious mind, right? And so even when the whole process is done, you're like, that's it. Did it work? But it totally worked. I saw a gal in Arizona. She was terrified of elevators. Since she was a little kid, she got trapped in an elevator for like 3 hours when she was a kid. And so she never went back into an elevator ever again. And she lived in Paris, and she never went into the elevator to go up the Eiffel Tower. So it was another city that she lived in. She was in a high rise. She lived like on the 22nd floor, and she never took the elevator. She took the stairs all the time. And so she was at this conference with me, at this training, and they did the MER on her. And again, it was only like maybe like a 10-minute process. And it's just a visualization thing. And sure enough, it's like, okay, how do you feel about elevators? She's like, yeah, I'm fine with it. Which, of course, the trainer's like, well, should we go test this out? And so a bunch of us, all of us got up and started walking down the hall of the hotel and right to an elevator. She got inside. I made sure that I snuck my way inside too, because I wanted to see her in action and see what the experience was like. And I was right beside her, and she had the expression on her face like she'd been in an elevator every day her entire life. Like it was the most boring, mundane, neutral thing. It's just like, yeah, I'm just in an elevator. I'm just going up to the 4th floor. Simple as that. And it was just incredible because the energy and the expression on her face when she was sharing her story, like 15 minutes beforehand, you could see the terror. Her body would just shake and just ripple and give her shivers when she thought about getting into an elevator. And then suddenly now it's like, yeah, this is a thing. I can just do this now. And it's gone. That phobia is gone. And I just want to be able to do that for people, just to help alleviate.
Yeah. Yeah, it is so crazy because I feel most of the time like we are doing all right. We're fine. We're not in big pain, but life is not as awesome as it could be. But we can't really put a finger on it. Why we're not more content or happy. And then a coach like you comes into play and points out, hey, you have limited beliefs. You still think that you're not deserving and that you're not enough. Or you still think that the traumatic experience from back then is supposed to, limit your beliefs nowadays in order to keep you safe. And then all of a sudden that person realizes, oh no, I can actually let go of all this. And I mean, just for you to witness that, but for the person now to know that, they can actually tap back into their potential and get closer to their purpose, to what they're meant to what they were meant to accomplish here and do here on planet Earth. And it's just so, it's so amazing. And I'm so glad that I met you because I feel exactly the same about this job. And a lot of times, coaches feel like, oh my God, this is going to be competition. And I don't want him to, to look at my books, no. And I want to look at these books. And no, this is not how it goes, because people react to your energy. They're drawn to your energy, and then you go from there. Like it's competition is the old way of looking at it, and working together and boosting each other, I feel, is the new world. It's very, very sweet.
We all need, we can all benefit from coaching. I like how people will kind of, actually had a friend ask me if I was joining a cult when I told them what I was going to do. I was like, what do you think life coaching is? That was an interesting conversation. And so people don't have an understanding. I go, it's weird. They'll understand coaching of a whole variety of other things, but then you say life coaching and they're like, what? Well, life coaching, what's that? What kind of mind control manipulation is this? It's like, no, we're all living. And so is like the most important coaching we can get, and it doesn't matter where you are in your life. If where you are on your happiness level, you can always be a little bit happier. If you have confidence, you can boost that, whatever it might be. We all have areas that kind of can sink, and we can elevate them and improve upon them. And that's what the life coaching is. And people don't quite understand exactly. Like, you can have your life together in a lot of ways. It doesn't mean, in fact, the successful people are the ones who get coaches.
Yes,
because they know it
exactly.
works.
Yeah.
They know mentors, they get coaching. And so people who aren't successful, they're like, I don't know what this coaching is. And it's like, you will be successful if you get a coach.
Yeah.
I mean, the most successful people have a coach. When people think of, even in sports terms, you could take the greatest player in whatever sport, like Tom Brady in football. He has a head coach. He's got a offensive coordinator coach. He's got a quarterback coach. He's got his own personal trainer for his body. He's got his coach for his food. He's got so many coaches in his life, and that's what these successful people do. They surround themselves with people who can see, because we can't see everything within ourselves because we're looking outward, and we can't always see totally inward what other people can see. We don't hear our own language sometimes. And so you can find really guidance, and it's not being told what to do. You're being guided. All the answers are within us, and it's amazing when you unleash that and experience it. And that's why, me and you, we're coaches, and yet we have coaches because we know it works. And how powerful it is.
Oh yeah, I couldn't do it without. There's no way, because like you say, first of all, we don't have all the tools, we don't have all the skills, and second of all, we're human beings who also go through depressive phases, who go through phases of self-doubt, and we have to pour our heart out to people that kind of have a neutral position and have our interest in mind. And that's okay. Once you accept that you can't do it all, and that's how it's supposed to be, you have to do it as a team. It's great, as long as you resist it, as long as you think, no, this is not for me and I have to struggle, life has to be hard. It's gonna be tough. And I feel, there is people that are naturally like open up to you and learn from you, and there's people who are gonna be curious, but then they're gonna find out, no, this is too challenging. I can't deal with uncertainty. I can't deal with my own power. That's what I discovered, is that there's people, you will show them in the mirror, hey, this is what I see in you, and you claim that power and you can achieve this and that. And they will be like, no, I don't want to tap into my energy. I want to stay in victim mentality and suffer and be in pain. And that for me is the very hardest part as a coach, to see someone choosing to stay in the pain zone. But I had to learn that everybody heals at their own speed, and if they're not ready, it's nobody's fault.
No, you're right. And it's really tough because we do see their potential. We see the potential in everyone, and you want to show it to them. And if they're not ready to see it, then that's not going to help. Or if they're not ready. Have you experienced, this was kind of based on my own observations with myself, and then I noticed everyone else in the world kind of doing it too, like the two phases of change, where that first phase is like, I want to change. I need to change,
Mm-hmm.
and so you see something in your life, you're experiencing something, you're like, something's got to change. I have to change. And then you don't. And it's not until you're ready to change that you actually do. And that's phase two. And so you come across a lot of people in our business who are in phase one, and they're like, I'm coming near my wit's end, and things have to be different. And, they're sincere in that. They're very sincere. And so, your heart goes out to them, you empathize with them. But then there's that thing where it's like, they're not ready. I remember a story that I heard recently. I was talking to a guy, and he's a motivational speaker. He was going through a rough patch in his life, and his mom was on her deathbed, and he kind of felt this guilt, like, oh my goodness, like this wonderful woman, she adopted him into the family, you know, and raised him and took care of him, protected him. He went on to become like an NFL player, and his career was over, and his life was kind of, you know, kind of not. It was good. It was not good. It was kind of in shambles, and his relationships were in shambles, and he was embarrassed. And so on her deathbed, he's like promising, it's like, Mom, I'm going to make you proud, and I need to be a better son. And he's making a promise with himself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then from that moment right there, he proceeded to not do anything for a year and a half. And it was a year and a half that phase 2 finally kicked in. So phase 1 was right there on the deathbed of his mother as she's breathing her last breath. And he's like, I want change. I need change. This has to happen. And then it took him a year and a half to finally go, all right, I'm ready for change. And so, you know, something powerful like that, you know, I just kind of keep that in mind when I just remember that people are in those 2 different phases. And so, yeah, there's a lot of people who aren't ready for coaching, and I'll just flat out tell them that too. I'll be like, you're not ready for me. And there's no shame in that whatsoever. I've experienced it many times where I have not been ready for change, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes that gap between phase 1 and 2 is like a day. Sometimes it's a year and a half.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so I just tell people you're not ready, and that's okay. And you're going to get there, you know, and if you want a coach, then come find me. Otherwise, or get a coach. It doesn't have to be me. Like, if you want it, it's going to elevate your life, and it's going to be amazing for you. So you have a beautiful vision of what you want, you can get it. Your success is inevitable. If you do the inner work and the outer work, all of us, our success is inevitable. And I guess that's why, you know, as I come to this, you know, crossroads of where I'm leaving radio and I'm moving on to coaching, and a lot of people are going, wow, you must be terrified. You're giving up your salary. And it's true. Like, I got 0 income plan for 2022, but I still got bills, and people like you, and you know, you don't know if it's going to work. And I just say, no, like, my success is inevitable. And a big part of this, the MER, releasing those limiting beliefs, you know. One of them was I'm not good enough. And I've achieved so many things in my life, and I never got to fully really enjoy those achievements because I was just kind of, you have that imposter syndrome. Like, you're worried that, okay, I lucked out and I got this, but I got to keep working really hard. And so I became a workaholic, and always just trying to, you know, prove to myself maybe that I was good enough for the next level and the next level and the next level. So I released all of that. And now I'm just like, I am good enough. I can actually just say that and actually believe it. And so I just know I'm going to be able to face any challenges. My confidence went from a person who had very low self-confidence to someone who, a lot of people might think I have too much now because it's such a drastic change. And it's just such an amazing place to be in when you can let go of that and really get in tune with who you are and what you're capable of. And I don't even know what I'm fully capable of.
Yeah.
And is what, like you said, we have self-doubts even within ourselves, and we see so much potential in everyone else. Sometimes we can't see in ourselves. And so there's a mystery, and I'm actually more curious and intrigued by the mystery than scared of the mystery. And I just know that whatever challenges are going to come, I want obstacles, because that means you are making progress. You're getting closer. You're growing.
Yeah.
I want to fail, because that means you're trying. Whereas a lot of the times, you know, you'd be afraid. I was a perfectionist once upon a time, like severe perfectionist. I hated failing. I would let anyone else fail in front of me, and I would nurture them and comfort them and go, hey, don't be so hard on yourself. And then I would use every swear word in the book when I made a mistake, because I needed to be perfect. And it was from something that was deep rooted in my youth. And so I was able to let that go. And so because of that, I love making mistakes now. I love learning from it. And I know obstacles are just there. They're not a deterrent to tell you to stop going down this path. They are something to go, hey, it's time to grow. It's time to stretch. It's time to learn new ways of doing things. Because what you know right now is not going to work. That's so great. You're going to learn something new, and you're going to be better for it. And that's just exciting. And so, yeah, when it comes to people say, well, it must be so scary. And I'm like, it's not scary at all. I have zero regrets about leaving behind my 23-year radio career. And I don't know, I've let go of the results of what's going to be coming up next, but I am all in on the journey. And because of that, I really don't have any fear. And I know my success is inevitable because I'm going to continue doing the inner work, and I'm going to put in the effort for the outer work. And so it's just a matter of when. That's the mystery. When am I going to, what will that success look like, and when will it happen? And that's what the equation is for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah. And how much we're open to it or not. And it's incredible when you say, yeah, you are on this new path now and you're not scared. Uncertainty is something that excites you instead of ignites like crippling anxiety. And there's people where you can sense, oh yeah, they've learned to repeat affirmations that they've heard on I don't know, a podcast, a radio station, or read in a book. And then there's people where you can really feel that they are walking their talk, right? Do you know what I mean? Like some people like talk in a lot of
absolutely
affirmative ways, and you're like, okay, I get all this, but your vibe is not really, you're trying to sell me something here and I don't like it. And with you, the first time we talked, I could sense that you really meant it. And I mean, I'm probably not the first person you attract into your life who's telling you, hey, if there's anything in my power I can do to boost you, please let me know. And you're gonna meet more people who are gonna lift you up because they can feel your strong desire to be out there and to do this work. And that is hard to put into words, because you will feel it and you will know what I mean right now. Maybe you know already, but there will be no big fear, no big anxiety, no big, oh my God, where's my money going to come from? Because people know that you are a no bullshitter. And this is so incredibly valuable in a world where, there is a salesperson at every corner for pretty much everything 24/7. And if there's people like you among them who actually is very calm and says, hey, I can just share my tools with you, we can start talking, and we can be raw and honest here, and there's going to be no doubt that you're going to make it big times out there. So I'm excited to follow you. I'm excited to hear about your story come 2022. If there was one thing, or maybe let's say two things, that you would say to a person who is in a situation right now that they found out, shit, like they have to pay their bills, they're unhappy with their jobs now, what can they do if they don't really know what their purpose is? So what helped you? Like, you were busy with your radio station and you said you got interested in coaching, but what would you advise to a person who doesn't quite know, okay, what is my purpose here? How can I get closer to it?
Yeah, small hinges swing big doors, right? And you got to do a small step. And like, first thing I would do is just pick up a book on self-growth, and you start to go inward, because that's where all the answers are. If you're looking for happiness, it's not outside. I've done a lot of that. There's joyous experiences from externally, absolutely, and I love new external stimuli. That reason, but the true contentment comes from within, and it took me a long time to really tap into that. And I battled anxiety, I've battled panic attacks, and I've overcome that completely. And did a 180 on it. And it started with just kind of delving into myself, and you'll start to learn more about yourself. And when you do that, you'll see how it aligns up with something. And then when you're ready, the universe is going to put something in your path. I had no idea life coaching was a thing. And then everything I had just been preparing for on my own, I didn't even know was preparation. I was just trying to be a better person, just trying to grow, and from within. And that's where it begins. You do the inner work and it shines outward, and you're going to find your passion. It's going to reignite there with you. And then when you do, don't ignore it. You're going to have doubts. We have the two parts of our brain. One is the primal brain, the monkey mind, and then the other one's the evolved brain. And that old monkey mind, it's very outdated software, where it's our fear, or fight or flight mechanism. And so many times we think our brain asks us, tries to put us and convince us we're in danger. And that means anytime we try to grow, it's like, it's going to be uncomfortable. And so it tries to keep you safe and keep you stuck, is in the end is what it does. And so you got to learn how to silence that. Once it pops up, just go, okay, that's just that critter brain there. That's just that part of my mind. And that's okay. You don't chastise it or anything like that. You just accept it for what it is. And if the building's ever on fire, you're going to love the fact that you have that part of your brain still. But otherwise, you just really get in tune with your mind, with your unconscious, because even at a conscious level, the conscious mind is such a small part of who we are. It's on the unconscious level that you got to dive deep into. And when you do, that's where you're going to find everything that you need. And it's within you. You got it. And just keep taking small steps forward, and it just turns into something much, much bigger. And it's going to require uncomfortable action. And you'll learn, if you can shift your mindset to learn that that's an exciting thing, and you welcome it. Yeah. We all have our potential. It's tough when you do see people start to dream and they know how it's going to change their life, and then they hold back just because they're not willing to take that uncomfortable step. They're not willing to be uncomfortable, to get exactly what they want.
Yeah. Oh, so beautifully said. And I totally agree with everything you said there. And it's like you say at the end, the big part is that you have to be willing to let go a little bit of the addiction to having to feel good all the time, and to embrace that life is really dark at times. Life is pretty dramatic at times. Life is scary at times, and it is okay. You don't need to live in denial or distract yourself from it. It's part of it. And especially self-growth is not like, progress is not linear. There's lots of detours, and being a little bit uncomfortable for the right reasons is the strongest lesson I've learned here in 2021, I think. I have one more question for you. I was going to wrap up now, but I have one more question for you. What is the biggest lesson you've learned about yourself in recent years that you would like to share with us?
Biggest lesson. From a mental standpoint, it was becoming aware of the two parts of the brain that will, primal part that tries to tell you you're in danger all the time, and just knowing how to communicate with it and just saying, no, I'm safe. I'm not in danger. I'm actually very, very safe. And then you can proceed, no problem. But what really shifted for me, what I'm really grateful for, is that I finally love myself. And for the longest time, I would really like myself, and there's other times that I would absolutely despise myself. And part of that was, the demands that I put on, the baggage that maybe I was carrying around was I was given up for adoption when I was born, and had stayed in an orphanage for a few months. I wouldn't have any direct memories of it, but I was staying in an orphanage, and then I was adopted by a very great couple, and I've also lost them in my life over the years, and my goodness, my mom, she passed away 2002 now, so it's almost 20 years. So you, in a lot of ways, you feel like orphaned, and then the goddamn pandemic didn't help when you live alone and you work alone and everything's just alone. But it gave me a chance to really dive into myself, and I became my best friend. And that's something I never was to myself. I was a best friend for so many people, and I was never a best friend for myself. And so that's an incredible gift that has come out of all of this for me. And if people can take that journey, if there's a part of you that you don't like, that it's holding you back from really loving yourself, really, Aurora, I accepted everyone's flaws except for my own. If people made mistakes, I would laugh along with them and say they're really goofy. Just the flaws, right? There's a lot of charm. But when I would do it, then I'd be embarrassed. I'd want to crawl with inside myself, and I've just learned at some point to let that go. It just all of a sudden just happened, and it's the most amazing gift, because when you can do that, then no matter where you are, you're with your best friend.
That brings tears to my eyes. That is so precious, so beautiful, and wow. Thank you so much for sharing that, for being here and being so, vulnerable and transparent, and at the same time so courageous. It's been a great pleasure, Troy, to have you here. Thank you so much.
It's weird being on this side of it. I'm used to being the person who's hosting things right on the radio, and so I'm usually asking the questions, asking the questions as a coach, asking the questions as a host. So yeah, it's weird to be in the spotlight, because I love shining the spotlight on anybody and everybody else.
Oh, well, I will invite you back, and then you'll be my host. I would gladly answer some questions.
Yes,
that would be so much fun. And
yes, we should interview you.
Yeah, no, I
Let's
really
reverse the
like
role.
the
I
idea.
like that idea.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. And if you guys want to reach out to Troy, I will put his information in the show notes. Is there any other way people can contact you for now? Is Facebook the best?
Facebook's a great way to do it, but yeah, I'll give you the information, and you can just share it as you see fit. I'm not in hiding or anything like that, so people can reach out. And thank you for the conversation. I feel really blessed to cross paths with you, and we connected so fast, and I feel like I've just made a friend really fast, and it's really, really neat. And you are a shining light. I love your sunny disposition. You are magnetic, and you are a gem. Thank you, Aurora.
Thank you so much, Troy, and you have a wonderful rest of your day.
You bet.